I was a disorganized high school English teacher who increasingly hated his life. In sort of very David Brent fashion, I kind of abandoned everything and decided I was going to start again as a singer-songwriter.
Because you're taking such a risk and you're going to be automatically taking a financial hit. You've almost got to accept this could be a disaster.
Oh, but I'm expecting it to be a disaster. Yeah. You know, someone asks you what you do and you'll say, I'm a musician. And then they look at you with that sort of sympathy in their eyes and they go like, oh, isn't that lovely? It must be so nice to do what you love. And then you want to kill them. Because I think in their mind, they think that in music, you are either John Lennon or nobody. You've either made it, which means that you're an international superstar, or you're a fucking loser, right? And there's no middle ground. Yeah. Whereas as we know, you can make a great living playing music,
Absolutely.
Right?
Hello, welcome to the One More Songcast. We are here with Rob Jones, who has been a guest on the podcast before, but it's been a sort of private episode that he did. We said before that it's not private in that way, but
that's right.
But
not for OnlyFans.
No, not for OnlyFans.
No, I keep my OnlyFans account. You know, it's higher quality stuff than this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we can't compete with that. To be fair, but no, we've got him on for you to see. And Rob's a very accomplished songwriter. He's an accomplished cover artist as well, and he's a really sort of fascinating character as well, and really dives deep into stuff. So we're looking forward to chatting to you today,
kind
Rob.
Of you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you always
maybe
make
I
me
will put
think.
you on the OnlyFans.
They may get a discount or something like that. So Rob, the last time we spoke, we were sort of really diving deep into like what it is to be an original musician and that kind of thing. The conflicts you have with creating your art, but also the social media restrictions as well, I guess you could say. Where are you at with all that at the minute? Because I know you've just released you're releasing an album in November, but you're drip feeding the singles.
That's right. So for me, the past few years has been all about making this transition from moving from kind of the world of cover music. That's how I make my living still now, predominantly, playing in bars and at weddings and corporate events and all of that sort of stuff, like you guys, and trying to make a little bit of a transition into somehow trying to scratch a living from original music, which
isn't easy,
which is very difficult to do because, as you know, nobody cares about your original music. Why should they? So I guess for me, the last few years has been the beginning of that journey. And I've been releasing stuff pretty regularly since sort of the post-COVID era. And it's all culminating at the moment in my debut album, which is going to come out in November. Mm-hmm. So to give people the story of that album, back in those sort of prelapsarian days of 2020, before the world shut down, I was a disorganized high school English teacher who increasingly hated his life. And I had this sort of COVID epiphany where I started writing music again and realizing how nice it was not set an alarm clock. And so in sort of very David Brent fashion, I kind of abandoned everything and decided I was going to start again as a singer-songwriter. So I had a major breakup with a girl I was with. I left the job, quit, resigned, didn't apply for anything else, and just kind of took the plunge. And I've been releasing original music ever since. So this album I'm putting out, Stars, isn't explicitly the story of that, but it is very much a kind of a metaphorical dancing around that whole process. So all of the songs are sort of reflections of me in some sense, I think, and the struggle I went through in kind of trying to re-establish who I was and who I wanted to be. And so that brings us to now, where, as you say, I'm drip feeding out singles. The first one came out in April. The last one's going to come out in October, ahead of the album itself dropping in November, which has been an amazing process that I've learned a lot from and continuing to learn a lot from now.
Yeah, so like we were saying before, you're very meticulous with the way that you do. I've noticed you do your social media.
Yeah.
And obviously it is difficult, isn't it, to sort of find that content and that sort of way of advertising your music, because essentially you just want people to listen, but it's not that easy, is it? You've got to give them a reason to go and listen.
Definitely.
Do you feel like you've got better at that, or has the process been a little bit less painful, do you think, as you've moved on?
Well, I think I struggled with it for a long time. Because it doesn't come naturally to me. I didn't kind of grow up with social media. You know, I'm 35. I'm not the TikTok generation. It isn't second nature for me to talk about myself into a phone. So the only way that I found ultimately that I could make it interesting for myself was to just try and make the social media more of an extension of the art. So rather than it being kind of a Lewis Capaldi style, this is my great personality, and hey, look, I also make music. Because I don't have a great personality, I'm forced to kind of try and make the social media an extension of the music. So it really all started clicking for me a little more at the beginning of the year, after I'd done a lot of soul searching and a lot of reading and researching, and I did some looking at what other people were doing that I like and trying to think how they would approach it. And I came to the conclusion that what I've got to do is try and make sure that the social media stuff isn't just content, it's kind of world building.
Yeah.
So that when somebody looks at my Instagram page, they're kind of seeing the sort of universe that I'm trying to convey in the music represented for them visually. So it's about establishing a bit of a persona, but then, you know, not a persona that's completely not me, you know, an artistic extension of me, but really trying to inhabit and communicate that. And I found that since I've done that, the social media stuff hasn't been half as kind of galling, because there's almost something satisfying about making something that looks good, that feels like you, and that, you know, pushes the boundaries of what the song is on the record in a visual way.
I think you have, because obviously there's some quite sort of deep topics in the album. I do still feel like you find a way of not making it like Lewis Capaldi funny, but sort of having your own little like cheery spin on it almost, it feels. So I think it's not dead serious.
Well, no, because I'm not a person that takes myself too seriously, I hope.
No.
So,
like
I mean, you wouldn't know that from the monologue just given. But
like, you know, you're playing your tunes in the bathroom and it's kind of got a little bit of a comic effect to it. You know, I think,
but even that, like, I'm careful with, sounds wanky, but the sort of bathroom. I'm careful with, you know, what I'm wearing. I'm careful about like the filter that the videographer uses. And also, you know, that tune, the reason I'm filming the content in like a bathroom stall of a dive bar is because that tune is about like a hedonistic breakdown, right? So there is some method behind the madness. It isn't just like, oh, it'd be funny to sit on the toilet. You know what I mean? Like I try and think about it.
And does that come directly from you, or have you got people that are giving you those ideas as well, like the videographers, and how much planning actually goes into that, if that makes sense?
Well, I'd suppose it's probably like everything. It's kind of a compromise somewhere in the middle, isn't it? So I know the sorts of things that I think would work for me. Like, I know the sorts of avenues I'd like to explore. I know the themes that I'm looking to explore. I know the colours. I know the locations that feel real in terms of the tunes and the world of the tunes. But then, of course, that vision meets reality, doesn't it? When you have to find a place where the lighting will work, where the videographer can get to. You have to find a place that you can actually go and film. So that is where compromise happens. But I feel like I'm pretty good at like not letting myself compromise anywhere outside the boundaries of sort of what I think it should be, if you see what I mean.
That 100% makes sense. I find, I don't know if you're the same, I find it really tough to actually think of like the cover art for the singles and stuff. You've really got to, I know it sounds stupid, but you've really got to think about it, haven't you?
It's so important. Like, you know, it's got to be eye-catching, but like, you know, if you just put a random thing out there and that's absolutely nothing to do with a single, there's got to be a point to that absolute nothingness. So where you're going with the branding of everything, you know, you're building that world.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's so hard because you just think, well, I'm a normal northern lad. I just want to release normal
northern music.
Northern music as a normal lad.
Northern music. Yeah.
But you can't do it. You can't do it because no one will listen to it without that you know, if someone like has a cool piece of artwork, someone might look at it and go, "Oh, that looks good."
Yeah.
And then that catches their eye. Then they start listening to the music.
Yeah.
Such a way around it. How have you found that personal battle? Because I know you mentioned being the authentic self.
Yeah.
How have you managed that battle in terms of them building that brand?
Well, I think
trying to make it.
I think mainly what I've done is I've abandoned the idea of the authentic self. I think what I've now realised is that actually for somebody like me, I wanna create a persona that is kind of that contains me, but is the me that I'm trying to sort of artistically convey, right? So it's a version of me, I think, but it's the version of me that I'm seeking to explore. And so the way I think about it is that, like, you know, particularly with these social media platforms, that you've got to use them for different things, right? So TikTok, for example, I've learned, and I still hate it, and I don't really use it much, but I should, and I will. TikTok is kind of a discovery platform, right? So the TikTok algorithm works by just pinging out the videos that any given user might find interesting to any given user's phone. So for TikTok, what you want to be putting on there is stuff that a cold audience might see and think, oh, that's interesting. I want to go and see more of that person. Whereas Instagram is going to be a very different kettle of fish, right? Your Instagram page is somewhere where you can really curate and build like a visual world, the sort of thing that you were talking about. So it's not just about what you're putting on, but I think it's also about like where you're putting it. Your Spotify page is something else altogether, right? It's where the music sits, but there's also photos. There's also a bio that people might read, where again, you can just extend that knowledge that somebody new to you might find. I think you've got to think about it as kind of like a funnel, like a classic marketing discovery funnel. You've got certain stuff that's pitched at getting people into the funnel, but then you've got to consider like where they go on that journey, and the more like interesting and fulfilling and rounded you can make that experience, I think the better. You know, that's what all the great artists have done, isn't it? Like you think about David Bowie or Ozzy, who died recently, or Kiss, or, you know, any of those like music marketing geniuses. They knew this without having the social media tools that we have today, and they probably didn't maybe have the marketing jargon to verbalize it, but they knew that it was all about bringing people into another world and keeping them there, and then fleshing that out using the music, the visuals, and everything else that goes with it. So that's what I'm trying to do.
No, I get it. I think the tough part of today is that you would have big teams doing that around you, and you know, you'd have people, whereas the only way now that we can get really discovered is by sort of really channeling the energies like you're doing, but it's so difficult, isn't it? Like, could you sort of describe to the listener what it is like being an original act and having to balance your life, you know, actually writing the music, you know, actually thinking about ideas, doing all this sort of creating this world, like you've said, trying to get gigs. Like, does it almost feel impossible sometimes, or do you actually think it's a good challenge, if that makes sense?
No, I don't think it feels impossible. I think there's two sides to every coin, right? So yes, you could say that previously, if you were an artist, then you would have a team behind you and a record label. But that's only if you were an artist that a record label and a team had first discovered somehow, right? By, I don't know, stumbling across you in a bar, or hearing your demo from a pile of demos on their desk, right? So although modern technology has allowed the independent music market to be, you know, a little saturated, and maybe it's difficult to stand out, it has almost democratized the whole thing. That means that any of us can give it a go, and we all have the raw materials at our disposal, don't we, to kind of do whatever we want with them. So, you know, in some way, like the power has never before been in our hands to this extent, and I think, like, yeah, it is hard, but like, why wouldn't it be hard? Like, why would it not be hard? You know, there's people making music all over the world. Like, yeah, if you want people to listen to it, you're going to have to do something good, and doing things that are good is hard.
I suppose the common comment is like, so much good music isn't discovered, basically. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. But what does that mean, though?
Through the net.
Because if it hasn't been discovered, then how do we know it's good?
Very true.
So I think Eddie Hall said it on our podcast the other week. There's too much good music able to slip through the net and not get to the ears of the masses now.
Yeah,
and I think that's what he's getting at.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
I think getting to the ears of the masses, though, is something that I don't think about. What I think about is I want my life to be about making music that I care about. And I'm going to need at some point to monetize that effectively, right? But we see this all over the marketplace now, that people are able to make money in different ways, right? I agree that, you know, if you're setting out to be Ed Sheeran, it's very unlikely to happen. But I think that if you're setting out to cultivate a dedicated fan base of people that like your music enough to pay you some money every year so that you can continue to make it, I don't see that that's a pipe dream. You know, I think that's something we can do.
We call that the true fan, don't we?
Absolutely.
So it's, I think, someone said it. It's
the 1,000 true fans effect. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we were speaking about, because I've seen something with your dad.
Yeah.
And you said basically that 1,000 fans that are paying you effectively, you know, through gigs or merchandise, £40 a year would set you up effectively to have £40,000 a year. So something that you could live from. But that sounds really easy, though.
Oh God, no, it's not easy. It's very difficult.
Is it?
Yeah, of course, it's very, very difficult.
Because it's hard to then convert those fans from, you know, giving you a couple of streams on Spotify,
definitely,
to get into one of your gigs, to buying merchandise.
Yeah,
I feel like you're at that level where you're a bit further on from me and Lee. You're getting like into the hundreds of thousands of streams. Yeah. But then what is that jump then from that to then getting those 1,000 fans that are giving you £40 a year?
Well, I think the streams, I think we've got to forget about the streams because the hundreds of thousands of streams I get are not from people that are going to give me my £40 a year, right? A lot of that is kind of Release Radar or Discover Weekly or Spotify Radio. These are people who, they might not even listen, right? It's probably just that my song has come on in the background as they're making the tea, right? Now, some of them will hear it and chuck it on a playlist, right? Whoopee. That still isn't going to get me my 40 quid a year, right? The people that are going to give me 40 quid a year, I believe, are going to be found by doing some specific marketing to the sorts of people in this country, maybe even in this area to begin with, who are actually going to come to a gig, buy a record, or maybe, you know, subscribe to a Patreon account if I ever do that, which I probably will have to do at some point. And that is a very different world from the world of Spotify streams.
Absolutely.
I think Spotify streams are great in that maybe it gives you a little bit of credibility, a bit of social proof. You know, if people look on your profile and they see like 6 digits or whatever, that gives a bit of social proof because we are kind of shallow, superficial creatures, aren't we, at the end of the day? But in terms of, cultivating an actual audience who are going to support you, you can forget about Spotify streams, I think.
It's almost separate, isn't it?
Yeah. Like, I know plenty of independent artists who are, like, way further on than me, who are beginning to make a living, and I have way more streams on Spotify, right? But they're touring, they're selling out venues, they're selling records, they're monetizing, and they can make their art as a full-time thing. I can't.
This is interesting because we've had Ollie Anglesey on in the past, and I think they were doing better in the live scene and selling tickets initially than they were on Spotify. Yeah.
Who's Ollie Anglesey, by the way?
He's lead singer of the Lilacs.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah.
So the Lilacs were initially, they just could become a really good live band.
Yeah.
And were able to just get all their mates to gigs.
Yeah.
And then that built a fan base from there.
100%.
So, I mean...
And those are real humans.
Yeah.
They're not just numbers on a Spotify profile.
And that's really uncommon these days, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's not as well known. Like, normally people get the numbers from social media or like Spotify and places like that first.
Yeah.
Before it then translates into the gigs.
But I think the people that are doing it properly, like if you look at like, you know, the K's at the moment or the Lathams or the lottery winners, they were all about cultivating an actual audience of real humans. Like, and a lot of them started local and built it that way. And like, you know, it's just really inspiring that, innit? Because, you know, if you're good enough, like you can do it.
Well, Dave Grohl does an interview and he said, like, do you know what you need to do? Get 3-4 people in a garage, just play the shit out. He said, my goal was to bang the shit out of my drums as hard as I could every gig.
Yeah, sure.
He said, if you get 3 or 4 of your mates into a band and you work at it and you get really good, people will come and see you play.
Yeah, I think so. That's right.
I think it still counts.
I think it counts.
It's just harder
Yeah.
to get that audience to the gigs.
It is.
And
yeah.
that is
But there is also, the other thing I've discovered is that there is this audience of people who are hungry for that sort of thing. And they are out there. Like, there are indie music venues up and down the country that have people who will just go to whatever's on, and they'll ring you afterwards, they'll message you afterwards, they'll say, when's the album? I want to buy the album. They'll subscribe to your mailing list. But like you say, you do have to just get out and do it. And I think, like, you know, in the age of artificial intelligence, where music is going to be able to be produced, you know, at the touch of a few buttons, I think that being a real person and doing it live, I think that the value of that is going to increase, right? Not decrease. I think we're going to move into a world where that is seen as the commodity, because, you know, I think within 5 years, anybody will be able to release a good sounding piece of music within hours, I would have thought.
And how much does a live gig cost nowadays compared to what it did 10 or 15 years ago?
Yeah, sure.
You're going to have to be very, very good live to even stand a chance, I think.
I think people are going to value it, though. I think it's, you know, a lot of industries, I think, are going to cease to exist within the next 5 years, literally. But I think live music, fortunately for us, is one that will become more valued. I think at the moment it's probably not valued enough. I think it will become more valued because it's irreplaceable. You can't have an artificial intelligence doing it.
Well, you only need to look at the tribute scene. How mad has that gone now? 10, 15 years ago, no one was interested.
Yeah, sure.
It was like Elvis impersonators going around and they were a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
But now, people are not able to...
don't they?
People not able to afford to go and see the real thing, so they go and see a tribute act.
Yeah, sure.
Is that going to filter down into the covers? Is that going to filter down into the local originals? Do we know?
I think so. I wouldn't say I think so. Yeah.
So I'll ask you then. So I remember last time you said, and this isn't word for word what you said, but it was basically that you've got to have a ruthlessness to get where you want to be, and you didn't know if you had that ruthlessness in you.
Yeah.
And I suppose maybe the ruthlessness with you comes from, you've just said the value in the doing the live gigs.
Yeah.
But you'd have to move away from doing a lot of the cover stuff to get yourself seen.
That's what I'd
in
like
the original
to do.
world.
Yeah.
How are you navigating that at the minute? And have you found yourself getting a little bit more ruthless and a little bit more brave since we last spoke?
No, probably not. What I've done is I've had to put so much energy into kind of the album and building it and creating it and packaging it and doing all of these tasks that hadn't even occurred to me that I'd need to do. You know, it's like anything else. Do you know that? Have you ever heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect?
No, I haven't.
It's that idea that when you're new to something and you have some early successes in it, you're lulled into a false sense of security. You think that it's going to be easy, right? So you find that beginners at anything, they're filled with this incredible confidence, right? They climb what they call the mountain of stupidity. And then the more experience you get, you suddenly realize, oh shit, this is so much more complicated than I thought. I have no idea what I'm doing. And you fall into the valley of nihilism. And then eventually you kind of plateau out somewhere in the middle where you're like, okay, I kind of actually know what this is about now. So I feel like I've been at the top of that mountain and I've been down in that valley, and maybe hopefully I'm just about beginning to drag myself out. I thought releasing this album was going to be a piece of cake. I'd made the music. I loved how it sounded. I thought the songs were good. I was like, brilliant. I'm going to float it out there, and then my life will be changed forever. And then I just had a meltdown for about 6 months because I didn't know what I wanted it to look like. I had no idea about how to get it pressed to vinyl or CD. I didn't know how to distribute it. I didn't know what I wanted it to look like. I had no idea about what my persona was, or like who I thought I was, or the story I was trying to tell. And so it just really set me back about 6 months. So now that I feel I've got my head around that, the next mission is to book a tour for the end of the year and to start taking it live. I mean, I put on a couple of shows last year which sold really well, a couple of local shows. but yeah, getting out on the road and sort of, practicing a bit of what I've been preaching here is the next stage.
Do you think...
Whether you call that ruthless or not, I don't know.
Well, no, I think it is. I think, like you've just said about going in with that beginner's naivety, and then...
You kind of need that, though, because otherwise you'd never start.
Do you feel like there's still a lot of that to come yet? Like,
probably, yeah.
Like in the sense of, like, if you're touring, do you think you're going to have expectations for the tour? And that might be tough, and it might be the second or third tour.
I think it's with everything that happens, yeah. I think you're probably constantly... Whenever you encounter something new, you probably constantly do that journey where you think, oh, this is a piece of piss. And then you think, oh shit, I'll never do this. And then you think, actually, it's tough, but I can handle it. I think that is probably the process that we go through.
So when you say you're going to you've started in the local area and then you're looking to branch out, is that the same way you're planning to do the tour advertisement? Because obviously that's going to be important because you're going to need to sell tickets.
Yeah, for sure.
To buy food.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I think the tour will almost certainly be a financial loss. But that's what you've got to do. I think I've spoken to a lot of people, a lot of friends who have been really helpful. And the message is that, the first tour you do, nobody will come, right? But you just have to do it. Like, you have to start.
It literally is like that David Brown.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be like Life on the Road, except I won't have the drummer from Razorlight behind me. You know what I mean? So you've got... Pick your venues wisely, small rooms, which have kind of ready-made audiences, people that just go to the venue. Do them, get the write-ups, get the reviews, get the quotes from the press or whatever where you can. Build a few people that'll come back and see you the next time. Book a few local ones where you can sell a bit more. Get your video content from it. Get it on local radio. And just keep slowly adding layers of paint, I think, is the plan. But it's not going to be glamorous and it's not going to be lucrative.
How does your personality cater to that then? Are you weirdly optimistic about that, or does it terrify you, the fact that people might not turn up?
No,
I
think I've accepted it. I think I've accepted it. And once you accept it, you kind of have nothing to lose then. If I know that nobody's going to come, then if anybody comes, it's a bonus, right? So I think that's got to be the mindset.
Yeah, I don't know if you're the same with covers gigs as well, where it's I don't really expect anything from covers gigs. I'm just like, and then like you say, if it goes really well, it's a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah.
But if you turn up going, this is going to be a great night, you usually get a big slap in the face.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think you've got to just take everything, try and be with a bit of equanimity, right? Just try and be serene. Try and be a bit Buddhist about the world.
I think that's the issue as well, because you're taking such a risk and you're going to be automatically taking a financial hit. You've almost got to accept, right, this could be a disaster.
Oh, yeah. But I'm expecting it to be a disaster. Yeah.
And to have that is ruthless. I think that is the ruthless side to it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are put off touring for that reason.
Yeah.
A lot of people are put off gigging for that reason.
I think so as well, yeah. But you've got to start. How else will it happen?
Absolutely.
You can't be a touring artist unless you book a tour. Can you?
Exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah. Everyone's got to take the dive. I mean, you're looking at the recording costs going up now as well. Like, if you're hiring out a studio.
Oh, yeah.
It's a ridiculous... Well, it's gone through the roof in 2 years.
Yeah.
And, people are paying out thousands to make no money on that. So why wouldn't they take the chance on the tour, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I think the other thing that's helped me is I've become a bit more religious since I last spoke to you. We were talking about some of this stuff last time I was in, I think.
Yeah. I've started going to church as well, weirdly.
Yeah, weirdly. Yeah, me too. Yeah. So that's helped a lot because, I've had a few weird experiences and maybe my belief in God has changed a fair bit. And that really helps thinking about the future because I just feel as though it's not in my hands anymore. You know what I mean? I don't feel that enormous sense of pressure to make my life something special or I'm some sort of failure. Because, as you'll know, when you start kind of embracing some of that stuff, you suddenly kind of take the whole thing a little less seriously and you feel much less important.
No, it's interesting because I know you had that conflict last time where it was like the restless dream and it was almost like if you didn't manage to get what you wanted, it was almost like you had to get it.
That's it.
Whereas have you changed your mindset
Definitely.
a little bit? Where it's like, it is what it is.
I've developed this great heuristic now where, touch wood that this will last, but whenever I start thinking, what if, my brain just goes, well, it's not your decision. It's not yours you can't control it. And it's so nice, you know what I mean? And it doesn't make me work. In fact, it makes me work harder because the work doesn't feel so intense. It doesn't feel like my destiny is riding on it anymore. It's just like, well, fuck it, might as well. Who knows what's going to happen? You know, it isn't mine to know. So let's just crack on and see.
I suppose it's that whole theory of when have you made it? You know, like people talk about making it. Is making it going out to Wembley Stadium, selling out millions of records? Or is it, you know, when are you going to be happy?
Yeah. Oh, shit. Well, that's a different question altogether. Exactly. Yeah. Fuck knows when that'll be. But in terms of making it, you're absolutely right. I think when you speak to people, kind of the average person, you know, you guys will have had this chat with people. You know, someone asks you what you do and you'll say, I'm a musician. And then they look at you with that sort of sympathy in their eyes and they go like, oh, isn't that lovely? It must be so nice to do what you love. And then you want to kill them. Because I think in their mind, they think that in music, you are either John Lennon or nobody. You know what I mean? There is no space in between. You've either made it, which means that you're an international superstar, or you're a fucking loser, right? And there's no middle ground. Yeah. Whereas as we know, you can make a great living playing music, absolutely. Right? And I believe, and I know people that do it, so it must be true, you can make a living making your own music and playing it to people. You're not going to be Harry Styles, right? But I mean, to me, God, I can't think of anything I'd rather do. So why not shoot for it? You know what I mean?
100%. I think one time I was talking about like another musician friend before I was doing what I'm doing. My dad said, how can you get a mortgage doing that?
Well, you can, yeah.
And then the next thing, a different singer had one. I was like, there's the answer.
Yeah.
Like,
people
keep
just don't
fucking doing it.
But that's the case with everything, because the world is changing so fast. And like, you know, you're a classic example of this, right? You've got your covers gigs, you do a podcast. I'm sure you've probably got more income streams that I have no idea about.
Well, this is an income stream at the moment, but we're hoping
but it will be one day, right?
You know?
It will be one day.
That's the aim,
yeah. So like, it's a new world. Like a lot of people, I think, are still stuck in that old paradigm that what is your job? You must have a job, and the job will give you the money, and the money will buy the house. But life has changed, right? We make money much more flexibly now. We can do different things, right? It's not.
You do feel a lot of people are still stuck in that, though. Like, you know, when you go to a wedding or something, that's the first thing people ask you, isn't it? What do you do? It's like that's what defines.
It's the most boring question in the world,
but it's like that's what defines you.
Yeah, and it's the least interesting thing about people. I think. Yeah, I hate it when people ask me that.
I think as well, like the whole idea of staying in a job you're miserable in for 20 years just to get a good pension. The pensions aren't even that fucking good anymore.
Yeah, and who knows what they'll be like in, you know, when we're trying to claim.
You're not going to get it till you're dead anyway.
And the robots are in charge.
But I think that's part, and without getting political, I think that's part of the thing, isn't it? It's like, you know, keep working until, but you never know if that's actually going to come, do you? So it's,
I mean, global
I always have this conversation.
National debt is unbelievable, right? Markets are being refinanced by fucking pretend money. We've no idea. We've no idea what the world is going to look like in 10 years. No. Like, think about how different it is now from, I don't know, God, when I was a kid, like in the 90s or whatever. We don't realize it because we are the frogs in the boiling water. But like, it's the temperature of change is just increasing all the time. It's going to be unrecognizable. When we're drawing pensions, I cannot begin to understand what society or economies look like.
Are we even going to fucking get it?
Well, I think we might. There's a fair case to be made that we'll just be given money, that human work will be a thing of the past, and that machines will do it, and we'll have to find some other way to derive meaning.
Yeah, can you imagine that if the whole fundamental system?
Well, it will. Why wouldn't it? Look, within 5 years, machines are going to do all of the jobs that we can imagine much better than we can.
There's got to be some give and take, though, aren't there? Because, you know.
Well, I don't know if you watched the Rick Beato video, and he said this. He literally stuck his thumbnail as "This song sucks." Yeah, and it was because it was generated by AI.
Yeah,
the spoiler alert. But like, basically going through it, ripping this song to pieces. Sure. And, you know, when you think you're grafting your arse off, trying to make this persona for an album, like worrying about how to release it and how to promote it, you're going to risk finances doing a tour.
Yeah.
And some computer's just gone, fuck it, I'll write a song in 30 seconds, we'll release that.
Yeah. Well, but that is what's going to happen. You know what I mean? And not only that, the music that he's saying is shit will be really good, because that's just the nature of progress. You know, the AI software, 3 years ago, it couldn't write anything. And it's only going to get better, right? And it's not just going to get incrementally better, it's going to get exponentially better. The next generation of
in the last,
of course we have.
Months.
This is the history of human progress. It doesn't go like that. It goes like that, right? Because better technology begets better technology faster. So AI music will be a thing, and it will probably be really good. And we just have to live with that and not worry about it, because what's the point in worrying about it?
Yeah,
it's not going to change what I want to do with my life.
No.
I'm going to do that anyway, and what will be, will be.
You talk about happiness and what will be, will be. But obviously that's only realistic to a certain expectation. If you were not able to do the original music and you were stuck doing the covers forever, would that be okay with you?
Well, I don't.
And also, do you find yourself sometimes resenting doing the covers because ultimately you want to be doing something else?
Yeah, I do.
But it's making you your money, and you've got to almost appreciate that. But sometimes it can be hard to appreciate.
No, it can be. Yeah, definitely. There is that thing, but it is an arrogance. And I recognise it. And as soon as I catch myself doing it, I give myself a bollocking.
Yeah,
because you think, oh, why should I be doing this cover gig when I can write? But that is bullshit.
Yeah, I find when I've spent 2 days in the studio, I'll come back out and I think I'm something almost better for 5 minutes than what the covers are.
Yeah,
we all maybe feel like that.
Yeah,
100%.
It's weird.
I think I've had to just go right when you get to that point. I think it was Just George actually mentioned it. She said, "Well, would you rather do this or the job you had before?" I was stuck in offices in jobs I wasn't interested in.
Yeah.
You work hard at them because that was your job to do that. But you're thinking, if I actually really put my finger on it, did I care about that job as much as I care about what I'm doing now? Because at that time, I would have ripped someone's hand off to get what I'm doing now.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to have that mindset.
Yeah, definitely. And it's easy to forget for us, because I absolutely kill the covers gigs. I do so much work.
Yeah.
Because, as you pointed out, I have to spend all of that money to try and get this original stuff off the ground. So I spend, fortunately or not, depending on your perspective, I don't really have a life, right? I've decided that at the moment, my life is going to be doing, somewhere between 5 and 10 cover gigs a week and pushing original music. Those are the things, that's what I'm interested in, and that makes it happen. So I'm not going on holidays, I'm not getting married, I don't have much of a social life. That is kind of what I'm concentrating on. So when you look at it from that perspective, you can feel a bit burnt out by the cover gigs because you're doing so many of them, and you're thinking to yourself, well, all the money I make from this, I just spend it on something. It leaves my account as soon as it arrives, right? And what it's easy to forget is that even though for you it's kind of like your 5th gig of the weekend, for somebody else that might be their wedding day. You know what I mean? It was your wedding day I played at, right? And that's really important. So for me to kind of come in and think I can't be arsed with this, I'm knackered, I've got to play fucking Ed Sheeran again, I hate myself, I hate you, I hate life. You've got to talk yourself out of that, because it's not the right attitude. Because for your man that came on, the pub landlord the other week, that's his business. He's spending his hard-earned money to have you in his pub.
Absolutely.
Even though you can't be arsed, you've got to deliver something for him.
It is tough, that though, isn't it?
It is tough,
because the amount of times I've been getting ready to go to a gig and I'm just like, I can't do this today.
Yeah,
to Jess.
I know.
I'm just like, can't do it. I honestly can't do it, and she has to talk me down.
Because it's not the sort of job that you can phone in, is it?
I'm like, I can't even imagine that. But
I've done the same, and I think my voice is knackered. But you just find a way to get it going because someone's booked you 6 months in advance to go and play their pub.
Yeah.
If you leave them without a singer for the last minute, you're a horrible bastard.
You are.
And even if you really can't help it, you've lost your voice, you're ill, whatever.
Yeah,
I still find a way to play that gig, and I'm like,
good of you.
And it's just like
sometimes I'll palm one off.
I think you kind of sometimes have to.
Sometimes you've got to. Sometimes you've got to, because it's not the sort of job where you can. Because like you were saying in the office, or when I was a teacher, you know, teachers will know this. On days where I was, you know, a bit hungover or I just couldn't be arsed, it would be, right, kids, we're going to do an hour's writing in silence now. And anybody that speaks, I'm going to kill you with my bare hands. So you could do that and you get away with that and just give yourself a bit of a break. But you can't do that when you've got a microphone in front of you. You have to actually physically do something. So you can maybe take it easier on some gigs than others. Like I love my favorite gig these days is, well, I love the band work because I love making music with other people because that's great fun. And then I love the background, gentle, sit in the corner, pick some Paul Simon, some James Taylor, sing songs that you like. You don't have to be too loud. You don't have to entertain anyone. Just make a really nice noise. That's my favourite. Yeah. So I had one of those gigs yesterday at this great place, this sushi bar, and I love that on a Sunday. It's just the perfect Sunday gig. Lovely crowd, play nice music. They'll come and ask for a song. They're a bit older. It won't be Oasis. You can play something. You know what I mean? It's
you never know now with all these concerts. Nice. You might be getting them.
Christ, well, I've been a lot. Got to give a shout out, because people who watch your podcast will love this place. There's a fantastic Oasis bar in the Northern Quarter called Definitely Maybe. And I've been there a ton over the last month, especially on these Oasis gig days. I've learned a Gallagher set. I can do like an hour of pure Gallagher now. And they're great songs, by the way. Like I used to look down my nose on Oasis a bit, but when you get stuck into the material, they are just like, you know, it's just like bulletproof songwriting.
Yeah.
Like
there's a reason why they got
there's a reason why. Every single chorus, even though every chorus is the same chord sequence, they're great. Like he finds some way of getting something new and anthemic.
Definitely.
And like you hear it once and you'll know it the second time. Like unbelievable. So I've been playing there a load. So any Oasis fans who are watching, get yourselves Definitely Maybe. It was huge over that. I had Vernon Kay come and film one of the sets. We had Japanese TV come in, film me playing Wonderwall at one point. Cool. The place was rammed with people from all over the world, from start to finish. Mexico, Brazil, Australia. Just an amazing place to be. And since the gigs, it's continued to be great as well. I was there the other day. So Oasis lovers, that is a top spot. That is a fun covers gig as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think what would be a good place to go now is what inspired you to do music in the first place. What was being played around the house? Because we always like to get an idea of people's journey. So we've almost got a bit about where you are now, but you're talking about loving these covers gigs, and even if sometimes you don't love them.
Yeah.
There's a reason you started doing it. So what was that reason?
That's a really good question. Right. Let me think about it. I suppose my parents have always loved music. So I grew up in the sort of house where there was just always music on. This is like what every musician says when they're asked this question, right? But it is true. So there was always music around the dinner table. There was always music on in the background. We were always going to gigs from an early age. I'm named after Bob Dylan. My dad is like a Bob Dylan fanatic. Our house is a bit of like a memorabilia shrine. So I've seen him 12 times, for example, in concert, and he's always been shit. So there was all of that coming from an early age. So it didn't take me long, really. I probably started playing the guitar very badly and continued to do so from about the age of 10, maybe.
Why was he shit, by the way? Just old, Bob Dylan?
Well, he's very uncompromising.
Right.
So he refuses to play any song that you'd want him to play.
A bit like Paul Weller.
Yeah, he only does stuff off his latest album. And since the mid-noughties, his albums have basically just been like shuffly 12-bar blues. Right. With, obviously, like, the lyrics are still, it's like fucking otherworldly crooner poetry, which is mint. But like musically, it is just very, very samey. But he only does them, really. And he only plays the piano now. He doesn't do any guitar. He doesn't play the harmonica. He doesn't sing. He just kind of like talks almost, talks the tunes. But he still insists on giving himself an extended piano solo in every tune, even though he's not very good at playing the piano. So, I mean, to give you an idea, I went to see him in Liverpool with my dad last year, and he opened with a new one. And then he did It Ain't Me, Babe, which is one of his big hits from the 60s, iconic tune.
Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash did a version.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody's done a version of it. Absolutely. Yeah. But obviously he did it in his piano shuffly blues style. And then when we were walking out of the gig, there were some Scouse lads in front of us talking about how shit it was. And one of them went, "Oh, well, at least he played It Ain't Me, Babe." And the other two were like, "He didn't." And so he had to convince them that it was that unrecognisable that he had to persuade them that the song had been played. So just like but if you're a Dylan fan, there'll still be one moment in the gig where you're like, I'm glad I went. Dylan. Yeah. So he closed the set on this tune called Every Grain of Sand, which is off one of his Christian revival albums in the 80s. And it's just like the lyrics to that song, I think, are some of the most sublime religious poetry ever written, like up there with John Donne or Gerald Manley Hopkins or George Herbert. Like, it's unbelievable. And he finished on that one, and it was like, well, it was worth it.
So do you know what always amazes me about Dylan? He's got this reputation for everyone does a better version of his song than him.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's inspired thousands. Like, I'm going to say, near enough, there's always been an artist from every single generation since he first existed that's been inspired by Bob Dylan.
Yeah, it's him and the Beatles for me, I think. Him and the Beatles musically, and then Elvis in terms of like what it was to be a rock star. I think those are the kind of the pillars of the popular music. Yeah, I mean, you could argue that, well, before them there was Little Richard and Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis, but I think for me it's those guys have really defined what popular music is.
I mean, they're the main three. I think if you look at it, I think you've got spin-offs like a lot of guitarists were inspired by Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, that's true. But even he was covering Dylan.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and the Beatles, yeah.
Well, that makes me laugh when we go back to the Oasis stuff, though, because I've seen loads of people going, "Oh, Oasis better than the Beatles," but I don't listen to Oasis very often. But when I do, I just hear little remnants of Beatles
they're incredibly
songs
Beatlesy.
constantly.
Yeah,
he was, Noel was always saying like him and Liam used to compare their songs to the Beatles, and if it didn't get anywhere near it, they'd get rid of it.
Yeah, they love the Beatles. They've never pretended it otherwise. They're very influenced by the Beatles, and so they should be, because the Beatles are, the best band ever.
I'm not sure how we got to this, but it was.
We were going from my
your childhood
how I got
getting
started.
into music, and I guess as an extension of that, then was songwriting at the fore. Because I remember when I first started, I started quite late.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to songwrite, but it just felt like something that was just too far out of reach. If that makes sense. Was it the same for you?
Well, I remember writing songs as like a kid. I would be writing lots of things, but I used to write a lot of stuff. I used to like writing stories, and I was just always like wordy creative. I can't draw or do art in that sense or build anything, but I've always liked words and music, obviously. So I remember writing tunes early, and then I had this awful experience when I was 11, which isn't awful, but it was a school concert. And so up until this point, I'd discovered the guitar, and I'd sing along to the guitar, and I'd write tunes and all that sort of stuff as kind of like an 8, 9, 10-year-old. Then I got to secondary school, and there was this big school concert, the Year 7 concert, right? So it was the 1,000 parents of the kids in Year 7 and all of their friends gathered in the hall, and everybody did a solo performance, right? And so I did this version of I'm a Believer by Neil Diamond / the Monkees, and I'd rehearsed it to death with a capo on fret 2 and chords in the G shape, right? And then on stage I put that capo on fret 4.
Of course you did,
yeah. And then obviously we know now that's a disaster waiting to happen. So sang the whole thing out of key.
Oh no.
Utter humiliation in front of 1,000 people. All of my friends.
Did you know as well? You couldn't get back.
Oh, there.
I still do that now.
I just still do it now occasionally. When somebody requests a tune, you give it a go and you think, fuck this. Too late now. But obviously when you're 11, you don't really know how to rescue that or style it out. So utter humiliation. So I then basically didn't do anything. I didn't touch a guitar then or sing a song
so that really
for about
haunted you.
3 or 4 years. And then eventually when I got up to sort of, GCSE year, I wanted to take music as a GCSE, and then I was put in the music set at school, started my first band, and they were looking for a singer, and I was like, well, I could probably do that. And then realised, oh shit, I am actually quite good at this. Like, that was just a fucking disaster. so then it progressed from there. So I had an early band at school, and we wrote our own tunes, and we did all right. We got to the final of like a Radio X competition. We got to the final of a Key 103 competition. We came runners up. I'll never forget it. We got to the live final at the Night and Day in Manchester. Radio X, Clint Boone was the host. The judging panel was Joey Barton when he was the captain of Man City, and 2 radio DJs that I can't remember. And it was this under 16s band comp, and we'd played this original tune. We'd played a cover of All on the Watchtower. We had this great lead guitar player. We absolutely killed it. We were so much better. I'm not just saying this, but we were so much better than the other bands. And it still makes me so angry to this day. There was this little lad, he was about 12, and he had long blonde hair, and he had the Angus Young AC/DC hat, and he had his little mates, and they did this cover of Back in Black, and he was so cute, and he jumped around the stage, and he headbanged, and he was a little rock star, and we were awkward, spotty teenagers, and so they won, and they supported Bon Jovi. That was the prize. Wow. And we came runners up and got nothing.
Do you know what they're up to now?
Oh God, no.
I thought you might have followed him,
no. I don't think. I have no idea. Maybe that's Lewis Capaldi. I don't know.
He travelled all the way from Scotland to come and do that competition.
I don't know. So I suppose from then on, I was always into it, and then as I sort of I went off to uni, studied English, taught English abroad, came back and became a teacher, but always kept up the gigging on the weekends. And then it was that COVID time where I thought, you know what, my life feels like it's just careering down a long, dark, endless tunnel here. I've got to hit the ejector somehow and do something that I care a bit more about.
Can I just ask you about the teaching? Because I was a secondary music teacher.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I just feel like the whole education system is geared to just passing an exam. It's like it's still stuck in the days where it was designed to basically put kids in factories.
Because it was, as you'll know.
Like the rows and everything, the way they come into class, it's literally just so conveyor belt orientated.
It's the Prussian factory model, isn't it? It was designed for industrial revolutionised workers.
But you go into as a new teacher, you'll think I'm going to revolutionise music education in this country. How did you find that to then going in and thinking, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to do this?
Well, to be honest, I don't think I ever had those lofty expectations. I think I kind of got it from the start. I always had I think I'm a pretty pragmatic person, so I kind of got it. And like my first teaching, I did this thing called not teach first, school direct, which is a bit like teach first in that they just plonk you into the roughest school they can find and say like, good luck.
Here's 22 grand a year. Give
best
it a go.
of luck. At the end, if you've survived this, we'll give you a qualification. So from the get-go, there was no, I'm going to do fancy lessons. It was just like, can I make you not kill you for the next hour? Okay, we've done that. Can I make you all sit down? We've done that. Can we get the pens out? All right, we've managed that. So it was like a baptism of fire. I didn't really have time, but I completely get what you're saying. But I thought, like, working with those kids as well, part of me thought, you know what? They just need the qualification at the end of the day. Like, none of them want to be William Wordsworth. Like, they just want to get a GCSE. You know, I've got bottom set year 11. We've just got to get them a 5 or a C, because that will genuinely like help them in life. So I was just all for, let's fucking kill this exam. Like, show me what the coursework is. Let's do it. You know what I mean? Let's revise you to death. Let's quiz you every hour. Let's pull you in for revision sessions. Let's ring your mum every night. Let's just get you the C if it's going to kill both of us, which it often like nearly did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Were you likeable as a teacher then? Were you very upfront?
You'd have to ask them. You'd have to ask them.
Were you very much like, listen, we're both in the same boat here?
Some of them liked me, I think. Some of them didn't. Because I wouldn't let them do what they wanted.
Oh, you wouldn't, right?
No, definitely
I thought it was
not.
more like, listen, we know what's going down here.
Yeah, we know what's going down, but let's get you this. Let's get you the exam result.
Yeah.
We're not going to bullshit you, but let's do it. We're going to do it. We're not going to mess around. Or like, I'm not going to let you off the hook and let you, not get an education. Yeah, I really liked a lot of teaching. You know what I mean? I really liked that. I liked the idea of actually. First of all, I love talking about literature, and I still do. And I like that. I like getting somebody and helping them.
Yeah.
But as you'll know,
delivering a lesson,
the rest of it is nonsense.
Delivering a lesson is great. And I found that just the whole politics of it, I couldn't get past that.
Yeah.
Now, if you can get past that, teaching's for you.
Yeah,
you
for sure.
If you can't, just chuck it out the window, mate.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
I agree. I think I was probably a little too lazy as well. Like by the time I left, I was what was called a specialist leader in education. And the next step would have been, I reckon, like a deputy head.
SLT, basically.
And to do that, you have to, I think, like, you have to live it and breathe it, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, you have to. And I was too lazy.
Oh, you get SLT sending emails at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I was just like, I can't do that.
No.
I just don't want it enough. You know what I mean?
You have to have some energy as well to do it.
For sure.
It's so tiring. But yeah, all I wanted to do was go and play my fucking guitar. That's the issue. I ended up going through so many jobs I hated after that, and just because I just decided to try and conform. Yeah. Was it a little bit of that maybe led you down the teaching route?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It was just that I didn't know what else to do, and I just didn't think that this was an option. If I'd been braver, I would have just done this. But you don't know that. Well, some people seem to, but I didn't. When I came back, I went and did a couple of years teaching in China, and I came back to the UK, and I was like, well, I don't know, teacher, I guess. And then you'll know what it's like. If you're any good, you just get promoted every 6 months. So before you know it, you're like, oh shit, I'm a fucking head of English now somehow. Okay, well, guess I'll carry on with this. And then, you know what I mean? So it's and the money's better than people think, and the holidays are nice. And there were parts of the jobs I really liked. So suddenly you find yourself in this, like, not a gilded cage because the money's not that good, but you find yourself in like at least like a tin cage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I would say I enjoyed the money at the time, but like,
and I was still doing the covers gigs on the weekend.
I think I wasn't because I was getting the train to and from my school, so it was like I would literally try and like, right, okay, they didn't get that lesson today, so I'd rethink my whole 6-week lesson plans.
Well, you're a good teacher,
so I put like. You know, I'd put into it, and then somehow I wasn't a great teacher at the time, and I probably needed to simplify everything and just go, right, what does this need me to do? That's that
Dunning-Kruger effect again.
But I was like, right, let's try and colour this in some certain way. Yeah. And I think you sometimes do think a little bit too creatively for the education system. And I think nowadays my teaching to like I do individual lessons, and it's just like, right, what are these chords? Right, teach them those chords.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. That's one of my other favourite little memes at the moment. I like the Dunning-Kruger effect. And then the other one I really like is this thing called the midwit meme. I don't know if you've ever come across it. So the picture is like, you've got Mr. Simple Caveman on the left, and then you've got sort of Buddhist wise sage on the right sitting there, kind of the font of all knowledge. And then in the middle, you've got Mr. listens to a million podcasts, drinks the Athletic Greens shake, meditates 8 times a day, has the morning routine, and he's Mr. Midwit, right? And the irony is that Mr. Simple Caveman and Mr. Wise Sage, they usually think the same things, right? Whereas Mr. Midwit, because he's a little bit clever, he has to overthink everything. So like if you think about like what's the best way to lose weight, you know, Mr. Simple Caveman will go eat less, exercise more, right? Mr. Wise Sage will go eat less, exercise more. Mr. in the middle will be like, well, intermittent fasting. You could join Weight Watchers. You could do the keto diet, but only between 8 and 12. Yeah, and it's all bullshit.
We know a guy like that.
Really, it's eat less, exercise more. And there's so much in life like that. And I think teaching is the same, and music's the same. You know, when you start, you think like, right, I've got to get this guitar, these pedals. I've got to learn how to do this chord. Or I need to know all those scales. But actually, you just need to have something that sounds good and just play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same with songwriting, I think. I went through a phase of writing tunes where I was just trying to make everything so unnecessarily complicated because I'd seen this YouTube video about like the Mixolydian scale, or I'd learned what an augmented chord was, or I'd listened to the Beach Boys, and I'd been like, all right, well, I've got to have 3 key changes, otherwise it's bullshit. And then, you know, then you get to, well, actually, you know, you just have a song. If it sounds good, it's good. Like, there are no fucking rules to this thing. If the song's good, it's good. I could show you great songs that have 2 chords, right? Or I could show you, you know, Good Vibrations, which has 14 key changes. Doesn't matter. If it's good, it's good.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
14 key changes, but one bass line.
Right. Yeah. How do you do that? That guy is a fucking genius, isn't he? It's unbelievable how you do that.
But then, this is what you forget. Like I used to be massively into prog rock.
Yeah.
Right. But my favourite band were Porcupine Tree. The only person that was doing anything complicated was a fucking drummer.
Right.
The rest of the band were probably playing a riff with 2 notes in.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. That's the great thing about Dylan as well. That's why his music is so covered, because it's the same 3 chords in every song, right? All of them. Like, I'd say 60% of his output is the classic, like, 1-4-1-5-1 chord sequence that's like every song since the blues were invented. But it doesn't matter, because he's got a great melody. The lyrics are weird and otherworldly and fascinating. And the song moves you somehow. So the rest of it doesn't matter. Like, it's fine. And I think it took me a long time. I think I'm still trying to figure that out. But I think that's what I think is like the midwit meme of songwriting.
I think we all do that, don't we? Because I've been saying to you with my latest one, haven't I? Oh, like, does it sound too generic? You always have that worry, don't you?
Yeah.
Does it sound too generic? But
like, why the fuck are we worried about selling out? Like,
No,
let's be honest.
for sure.
Like, if we were to sell out, it wouldn't be a fucking problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd sell out if anybody was offering to buy. Yeah, that's what I always reckon. And that's the other thing, people will constantly say, oh, it sounds a bit similar to that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, well, listen, mate, if you're in a position that Neil Young is going to register a lawsuit against you, you're doing all right. So just don't worry about it for now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cross that bridge when it doesn't come.
We say that though, but and this isn't to do with songwriting, but one of our friends' podcasts has just been completely erased from YouTube.
Oh,
He
shit.
doesn't know why. Just like, oh, you've spam and something or other.
YouTube has a history of that, though, doesn't it?
So you're just like, we're putting all this work in.
Yeah,
It's
that is
like,
poor, that. YouTube has a history of that, though, I think.
But just randomly just...
Believe so, yeah.
strange.
Well, it's like Spotify. We randomly lost 800 streams, and they wouldn't tell us what the source was of these fake streams we'd certainly got. Like,
That's what goes back to what we were saying before. If you're at the mercy of these platforms, then you're at the mercy of the platforms.
Yeah.
That's why you need actual tangible humans.
No, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. It's difficult though, isn't it? Because you can think, oh, I want to be successful on YouTube, or I want to get more. It's very easy to get into that thinking, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
Do you feel like you're not in that thinking?
No, I always am. But it's one of them. It's like, it's one of them where you naturally fall into the pattern, but then you have to just have a word with yourself and just just sit back and think, hang on, I've lost a bit of perspective here. Like, I've funneled all of this money now into these Instagram, these meta conversion ads. And yes, I'm now getting, 2,000 streams a day, but why? You know what I mean? Like, why?
Yeah.
And
what was the process?
What's the point? What's the point? You know what I mean? The 2,000 people aren't going to give me any money back. So what's it for?
Yeah.
But you've just got to, I think you've got to constantly just reflect and be like, okay, I'm doing this thing. I've done it for a bit. Is it serving what is my purpose, first of all? Well, okay, my purpose is to monetize this original music. Like, is this helping me do that? No. Okay, so what next then? You know what I mean?
I think, like, it comes back to that. Is it you doing it? And like that sense of self within your work.
Yeah.
Like, obviously the music is your personality. I think you read so many music marketing things.
Yeah.
90% of it is a marketing, 10% of it is a music.
Yeah, for sure.
So you've just got to make that 10% as good as possible and make the most of that 90% like you're doing.
Definitely.
Like, probably make that as fun as you possibly can, because it's tiring.
Yeah.
That's more of a full-time job than music.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely. But you're absolutely right. If you can find a way to make that interesting, then obviously life gets a hell of a lot easier. I need to find some way of doing TikTok, though. I think that's because it's just such an obvious free lever that it's just insane not to be pulling it. But I've not found the formula yet. And I feel like I need a formula. And once I have the formula, I can just hammer the formula and refine it. You know what I mean?
I can't bring myself to go on it sometimes.
It is, but that's the other thing.
It feels like a heavy app, and that sounds like a really strange thing to say.
It feels like every time I open it, my quality of life decreases.
Yeah. It's just I don't know what it is about it. Like,
it's
the
just
software
toxic
feels
as
heavy,
fuck, isn't
and it's
it?
like just feels a lot harder to.
Oh, you think actually using it?
That as well. I mean, I can use it, but I'm saying, like, when you go on Instagram, it's all very clean, isn't it?
Right,
it's
that's
quite
interesting.
clean. But when you go on TikTok, I just find it all, you got all these roses flying around, and it's just all a bit. that you'll go on it and something that you have has absolutely no relevance to you, some live stream, and someone's just sat in the bedroom staring at you. Like,
selling you a plant pot.
odd. I just find it really
That's
odd.
me on OnlyFans. I know what you mean, though.
It's
It is
just
weird.
odd. But if you can crack that, like you say, that's your discovery platform, isn't it? So it's,
I think we've got to find a way of, again, just trying to make it not awful.
Yeah. Just before we move on to sort of your style as a writer and what you've got coming up, I'd like to know if there was like a very distinct epiphany moment for you when you was in your teaching job that made you think, shit, I can't do this anymore. I know you said you was in a relationship as well. I don't expect you to go into that, but or was it you knew straight away and you just didn't really know how to find a way out? Or was it like a shit, actually?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it was kind of a slowly moving crisis. So it kind of, I began to feel these strange feelings of dissatisfaction. And I think I am anyway. I often feel things for a while before I understand what they are. Do you know what I mean? So it felt like my life, it felt a little like all of the doors on the corridor of my life were being closed around me. So I was in this very serious relationship. She dodged a massive bullet. Let's just put that out there to begin with. She's very happy now. She's married. She's got a great kid. We together made the complete correct decision. So I don't think it's going to be offensive at all for me to say that it got to the point in that relationship where it was kind of make or break. It was sort of like she was quite reasonably looking for me to want to begin to think about family and marriage. And so I had that going on. I had this job I was in, and as I said before, it was getting to the point where I was going to get a pretty serious promotion any day soon. And I was getting to the end of my 20s, and it felt like I wasn't young anymore. And it just suddenly felt like, oh shit, like I've sort of somehow managed to dance my way into some sort of cave here, and I don't quite know how I'm going to get out of it again. Like, I don't really see an exit ramp from this, and I'm not sure this is what I want to do for the rest of my entire life. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is a pretty terrifying thing to realize. So I think I sort of began to realize that. So the first thing I did was I went and got a law degree, as you do, because I was like, something needs to change.
Let's one thing to the other.
Do that. I'll just start doing that. So that was weird. So I did this law degree, sort of part-time online evenings and weekends. The relationship became more and more tense because I was like emotionally retreating, like, an immature child would, because I didn't have the balls. Or maybe that's not fair. Maybe I did have the balls, but maybe I hadn't quite figured out yet that I needed to get out of that. It wasn't right. And it took me a while to figure out that I just had to kind of, have that awful conversation. So there was all that going on. And then I think once the relationship ended, once I realised I don't want to be a lawyer, that's just going to be as shit as being a teacher. Like, I don't want to do that at all. And then COVID happened, and suddenly it was like I'd found life again.
There was your exit strategy.
It was like, oh my God, this is great. I just kind of sit at home and read and play the guitar and like walk in the sun and like sleep well and do, things that I enjoy. And I was like, well, the only thing I really miss is playing music with my friends. So then I thought, well, if you could actually just have that sort of life and play the music with your friends, fucking hell, that would be good, wouldn't it? So I suppose that was what really kind of pushed me into, and that COVID period left so much time for creativity, didn't it? Because we had absolutely nothing else to do. So that's when I rediscovered writing songs and remembered how satisfying that was. And I got Logic I bought an Apple Mac and got Logic and got the standard,
that's exactly what
the classic Focusrite audio interface. I saw a great, like, my mate sent me this thing on the internet the other day that was like, it was so spot on. It was something like every young dreamer that wants to be a rock star in their 20s becomes a weird 35-year-old with a Focusrite audio interface. And I was like, yeah, that's absolutely correct.
Like those starter pack memes that came out about 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, 100%. So that's where I rediscovered kind of writing music again. And I was like, oh, this is great. So I guess, because I feel like you've always got to keep challenging yourself as a human being, right? Yeah. So, you know, I'm pretty lucky in that I'd done the covers for so long. I'd literally been playing in pubs since I was 16. And I've been doing weddings and higher end work since I was 25. And I had a great network. Like I've never struggled to get gigs, because it's like, you'll know, it's like anything else. Like once you've been doing it for 5, 6, 7 years, like, you know, everybody that they want you to come, you know, you don't struggle. You've got that network. You've built those connections.
To a different pub, they'll bring you there.
Exactly.
Do you find the ease of that, though, makes you a little bit lazier with
it does, yeah.
When all my gigs got secured, you feel a little bit like you don't feel that extra need to learn that extra song for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. But that's when I think the original music thing started as well, because it was like, well, I mean, this is good, but holy shit, wouldn't it be incredible if like I could play these songs that I'm writing for people? And so it's just about the next challenge, I suppose.
Do you think how hard it, and this might sound really cliche, but the fact that it is so hard in original music, do you think, I think you've kind of addressed this before, but is that what kind of spurs you on? Because sometimes because something is so easy, it actually makes you a lot lazier, doesn't it? If you're getting easy money from something, you kind of just like, oh, well, it's working, so fuck it, you know.
Well, as Jordan Peterson would tell you, true meaning is found on the edge between order and chaos, right? So it's all about finding that edge, isn't it? So whenever your life is predictable, comfortable, easy, you are going to feel dissatisfied, I think. And equally, whenever you're completely over your head and disorientated and overwhelmed, you're not going to feel great either. No. So it's about just finding that middle space. And I think the transition, for me anyway, at the moment, you know, transitioning from the covers to the original stuff maybe is my borderline between order and chaos, if that makes sense.
Everyone thinks they want that comfort though, don't they?
Yeah, but they don't.
I was just going to say that. Yeah,
you think you do. We default to it, but it isn't good for us.
Yeah,
we soon become miserable.
Oh, if I could win the lottery, I'd just sit there doing nothing with a pool in my garden.
No
and
chance.
Everything. No, you wouldn't.
You'd be miserable.
You'd find something.
Yeah,
but I bet at gig 8 or 9 of 10 of that week, you're thinking, oh, I'd love to just you do, don't you? But then as soon as you've done that for an hour, you're then scratching and you're wanting to get back out again.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so weird. Like, it's finding that balance, isn't it? Maybe there isn't a balance to be found.
There isn't a balance, yeah. I think I used this bullshit quote last time I was here, but as this is a new episode, I can say it again. There's that great phrase in Tibetan Buddhism where the Dalai Lama or whoever he says there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is that, you know, life is like falling through the sky without a parachute. But the good news is that there is no ground, right? So if you can make peace with the fact that life is just this constant, holy shit, what am I doing now? If you can make peace that is life, there is never going to be some destination you arrive at other than death, I suppose. There's never going to be some, oh, okay, this is me sitting by a pool forever now and I'll be happy with that. That isn't going to happen. If you can make peace with the idea that life is this constant struggle between order and chaos, then, you know, that is the sort of stability I think that, you know, it's reasonable to hope for.
Yeah.
Well, Matthew McConaughey actually come up with a similar quote. He said, people always said, I'm not there yet. He said, once they start realising that there is no yet, they're going to be much happier.
Definitely. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Crazy.
Same thing. Yeah, I like Matthew McConaughey. He's really cool. I read his autobiography. Did you read that?
I've not read it. I watched him. The only reason I know about that quote is because I watched him on the High Performance podcast.
Yeah, cool.
Some of that stuff is fucking brilliant, by the way.
He narrates it as well, and he's got that great sort of Texan voice. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's a cool...
Well, he's
cool
He's
guy.
Off his fucking head. But
yeah, he is. But in the best way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, I think as humans, we're like, if I could just get this done, then that's kind of like the default.
But that is kind of, and this comes back to what we were saying before about God, that kind of is the human condition, isn't it?
And making it.
Yeah. We always want the next thing. We adapt to our situation very, very quickly. So I think there's some crazy stat about kind of the subjective happiness of lottery winners and people that undergo amputation, right? So lottery winners are obviously given this incredible amount of money. Some people may lose a limb, but what you'll find is that within not very long, like we're talking 6 months to a year, maybe a bit longer, their subjective default level of life satisfaction will just kind of come back to where it was, because you just get used to whatever your current context is, which leaves us as a species constantly wanting more, right? So the nice thing about, finding God is that it suddenly puts that endless, tiring search into a bit more of a perspective, and you suddenly realize, well, okay, there are some things that I'm never going to get. So let's not take this constant grasping so seriously. Let's try and appreciate that, maybe in some sense this life isn't all that there is. So we can maybe, relax a bit and just try and enjoy it rather than be constantly hunting.
I think there's got to be that balance between chasing goals and practicing gratitude. I think there's two things, like, drive yourself, but like appreciate what you still got. Like, you still got good family or whatever.
100%.
Enjoy it. Like, you've still got good friends, even if like you've got none of that. If you've got a roof over your head, appreciate the simple things whilst going for the end goal.
Definitely.
That will never be the end goal almost.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. Gratitude is the answer. And that's another thing that it's very difficult to remember to do. But when you do it, it does just make life better, doesn't it?
I think it's harder in this generation, but obviously we've not lived another generation, but it feels harder to do because you constantly, social media kind of dictates, like what other people are doing. And
definitely.
And it's hard, isn't it?
That's really tough. I agree. I struggle with that still.
What would you say is your, I think I saw this the other day, is your most annoying quality? I want a better word for that, but the quality that you really hate about yourself. Yeah. So for example, for me, like sometimes I will really like, and I don't know why I do it, but say like there's somebody doing something really good. Yeah. It'll annoy me. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
It's like almost like a jealousy thing, and I feel myself doing it, and I hate it. Let's say someone has got a few more streams in me. I really like. I won't be like really happy for them in some ways. It depends on the situation, but I really hate that about myself.
Yeah.
What about you?
But I think the fact that you're conscious of it is
it's hard to figure out why,
because I think that is normal. Like we all experience jealousy, and we all experience insecurity, and we all experience envy. Like that is just again, that is what it is to be a human being. Like anybody that tells you they doesn't is either a very special person or they're lying, right? Yeah. So the fact that that you do it and you condemn yourself for it and then you're sorry about it, I think is very healthy. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would say for me, it's probably. And again, this is something that, touch wood, I feel like I'm making real progress with. But it very much is that, I think, that kind of obsessing about the future and like what I'm going to be and what I could do. And it's all this me. You know what I mean? But I think, hopefully that's something that I'm kind of getting over. I think other things that I think I need to work on, I think I'm not very good at work-life balance maybe isn't the right way to put it, because like the original music, I can't really call it work yet, because like it's at the moment it's just like a financially crippling hobby. But I don't really have a social life, which is probably not healthy. You know what I mean? Like I haven't been able to hold down a relationship since that one I talked about, and that was what? 7 years ago now, right. And if I'm still talking about that, that's pretty tragic in and of itself. Oh. There've been things, you know what I mean, but there's been nothing meaningful, and I think that's mainly my fault. I don't see my friends as much as I'd like to. I think I think bipolar is a way overused term. And I wouldn't diagnose myself with it, but I think I do have a tendency to oscillate mood-wise, where I'll have stretches of days where I feel down, very self-critical, very demotivated, like life will just be a struggle, anhedonic, like everything seems grey, you know what I mean? And then I'll have other days where I have this fucking burning fire of joy inside of me, which also doesn't feel great because it's like it's too intense, you know what I mean? And I'll just like fucking, I'll sit there all day reading a novel and sort of vibrating with excitement about it, or I'll be at the piano for like 12 hours, and that probably isn't good either. And I think I'm not very good still at like finding a healthy middle bit to that.
I feel exactly the same as that, weirdly.
I think that's probably one of my biggest traits, because I think I've noticed recently, I got into a new relationship this year, and I think I've started to feel guilty about how little time I'm spending with a person.
Yeah, that's tough.
And you think they're not like, they get it.
Yeah.
They're actually really, that person's really understanding. But then like, in other ways, I'm not feeling like I'm putting enough into what I'm not feeling like I'm disciplined enough.
Yeah,
when I've actually got the time to work.
I completely get you. Yeah.
And then you just, I can't, that's my two probably annoying things, like that work-life balance, like you said. Yeah. But then like not feeling like you're doing enough with what you're working with.
But I empathise with that so much. I think that's the reason I am a bit, when it comes to love, I'm still just a little emotionally shut off, because I have this, and it's probably not even a reasonable fear. It's probably coming from a place of my own insecurity, but I think a part of me still thinks that like, if I get into a relationship, that person is going to make me want to compromise on what I want to do. And I don't want to compromise. Whereas whenever I say this to like, you know, emotionally healthy people who are in good relationships, they just go, well, no, because if you meet the right person, they'll want you to do what you know what I mean?
Like that, yeah.
Like it isn't a zero sum. I still feel as though I see it as like a zero sum game for some reason when I shouldn't.
Yeah, like I've talked to my mum and dad. Like I remember teaching with a guy, and he said like his missus would work at a bar at a weekend, so they'd have to do something Saturday morning, otherwise the weekend was gone.
Yeah.
But like through the week, she'd be like, at 10 o'clock, are you coming to bed and all that? He'd go, yeah, I'll be up in a minute, and stay up doing work till 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Go up, 1 hour's sleep, straight back to work. Like, I'm thinking, you've spent no time with your kids. You've spoken about like only spending time with your kids on that Saturday morning.
Yeah, that's tough.
But then when I told my mum about it, she was like, well, your dad used to work nights.
Yeah.
I'd come in from work and he'd be going to work.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I agree. My parents did it as well.
Like,
yeah.
you automatically think, oh Christ, being a musician kills relationships.
Yeah,
like,
that's very true.
Like,
that's a really good reframe, actually. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That actually, I guess the only difference is that, well, no, because like you say, you know, they were living opposite timetables almost as well. It is tough. I have found dating tough in that my free time is just when everybody else is at work. So like I'm dating a girl at the moment, for example, and you know, I like her. She seems great. But like, it's just very tough to see her. Like it's either like Monday or Tuesday night or Wednesday.
Not tonight.
And that's it. But it's not tonight. I'm doing this, and tomorrow night I'm doing that, and Wednesday I'm a bit knackered. And
you're in two minds because you want to do both.
Yeah, that's it.
And you almost can't have that life. It's
and you know, she has a normal job, so like. You know, her free time is the weekend, which is like the opposite of my free time. So that is tough.
That's all we ever knew is me and Jess. So it kind of is just the norm.
Oh, that's good then. So I guess that's what I find with, you know, a lot of my bandmates now that I've played with for years, they're getting married and having kids. And I think the pattern I notice is that they have kind of met their person like early, and they've kind of like grown up together with that being the dynamic.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a lot of difference.
I think like all of a sudden, like I was the worst organised person. So as a teacher, like you can imagine why that was awful, because then I'm trying to I plan a lesson plan. First lesson went to shit, I would overthink it.
Yeah.
Then I become more disorganised.
Yeah.
So like when I became a musician, I was like, right, I'm going to have this calendar. I'm going to have everything. My social life's in that calendar now.
Yeah.
Because, you know, You sort of learn to make the time for other people.
That's fair. That's good. I'm not good at that though, so I'm glad you are.
But I think, that's something that you have to just learn it. Again, if you want the relationship, if you want the life, you kind of just have to learn to just do it.
I think that's tough.
I'm still shit with it.
I know, that's the thing.
But like, there is more of a plan to it now. I think that's probably the best way I can frame it.
Did I tell you it's not mine, again, I'm parroting this from somewhere else. Did I tell you my lamp analogy last time I was here?
No.
So that I heard this great thing on a podcast. You can tell I listen to too many podcasts. There's so much spare time in my hands in the day. A midwit. I am the ultimate midwit, absolutely. So this guy said that relationships are a bit like lamps, in that when you first buy a new house and the house is empty, you need a lamp. And so you stick the lamp in the corner of the empty living room and the lamp turns on and it's fine. And then you go through your life and you amass other furniture and it all fits nicely around the lamp. And you'll probably have that lamp for the rest of your life and you'll never even think about it and it'll just be your lamp forever. And that's fine. But if you do it the other way around, if you get the house and then you spend 2 years decorating it and you get it looking perfect and you feng shuied it and you've wallpapered it and you've got the TV and you want the perfect mood lighting lamp that fits this very specific living room that you've devised, suddenly finding the lamp is a much harder job. And that's a bit like relationships, right? If you've built this very particular life like I have, it's a weird life that happens at weird times and I'm a weird person and I'm getting weirder. Like, for me now to find somebody that's just going to slot in perfectly, fucking hell, I'm going to be lucky to do that. Whereas maybe if you meet somebody when you're young, you sort of, you know, you grow together and like your lives like intertwine, you know what I mean? So maybe I fucked it is what I'm coming to say. Maybe I fucked it.
I think that kind of goes in perfectly with writing an album. Get your single and build everything around it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, just because we do want you on again, so we don't want to exhaust it, if that makes sense. Yeah. But I noticed this is just my interpretation of your music. It's the lyrics that you really agonise over. It's the lyrics that to me are the most impressive about your writing. Say,
yeah.
Can you just talk about the process of actually writing lyrics, because they do stand out, and I wish I knew
what the process was. You lads will know that I don't know how it works. You know what I mean? It just comes from somewhere, doesn't it? You'll know it. It's like, as we're having this conversation now, you know, on some real sense, like, I don't really know the next word that's going to come out of my mouth until I hear myself say it, you know. And that's what creativity's like. It comes from somewhere subconscious, doesn't it? It comes from a place that we don't really understand. And sometimes that'll be a very, very difficult job. That'll be like squeezing blood out of a stone. And other times you'll just do it and it'll just like be there in like 10 minutes and it'll work. So I find it very, very difficult, and I find lyrics to be the hardest thing of all. I always think that the greatest songs, the songs that I really love, and this isn't a hard, fast rule because there are no hard and fast rules in music, and I'll be able to name, you know, a million counterexamples to refute the point I'm about to make. But a lot of the songs that I love are those songs which are, and it's a little like a great piece of fiction. It's able to say something about what it is to be human without explicitly saying it. So I read a great short story by James Joyce last night, which does exactly this. The story is all about a middle-class Irish dinner party. And this man, he goes to the middle-class Irish dinner party hosted by his rich aunties, and everybody fawns all over him and makes a fuss of him, and he's kind of the golden boy of the family. And he's got this new wife that he's brought to the dinner party, and they have all of this lovely middle-class conversation, and he makes a speech that goes down fabulously well, and they leave the dinner party in high spirits, and him and his wife go back, and it's snowing at midnight in Dublin in the 1800s or the early 1900s, and they walk through the snow-swept streets, and they get back to the room of their hotel, and he notices that his wife's crying, and he doesn't understand why, and he asks her what she's crying about, and she says, well, before we left, I heard one of the singers at the party sing this old folk song that I've not heard for years. And he said, well, that's strange. Why did that song make you cry so much? And she said, well, when I was 14, the local boy in the village used to sing that song to me. He was in love with me, and he sang it outside my window every night through the winter, and he caught pneumonia and died, and I never saw him again. And that's how the story ends. And the story seemed to speak to me on some sort of level whereby it made me reflect on kind of life and death and perspective, and the idea that we only ever see the world through a very specific lens at a very specific time, and that other humans are experiencing complexity at the same rate as us that we have no idea about, and the fragility of life, and he said all of that without saying any of it. You know what I mean? He was able to express that through a very short story about a dinner party and a hotel room. And I think like the great songs do that. So, you know, there's a tune by Tom Waits called Tom Chorbutt's Blues, which is about a man who arrives in Copenhagen and goes to a bar, right? And that's kind of all that happens. But within that little set piece, he touches on all of these themes and all of these ideas, and there's such depth beneath it that you come away having felt like you've experienced something both strange and familiar, right? And I think that's what I love from lyrics. I love it where there's a surface, but beneath that surface, there's incredible depth, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
You know, think about that Pulp song, a better example. You know, that tune, Disco 2000, right? It's a great song. It's a simple story about a man who was in love with his childhood sweetheart, and they agreed to meet up by the fountain when they were a bit older or whatever. But there's such depth to that tune. It's all about hope and what it is to be young, and it's all about love, and it's about rejection, and it's about hoping you are going to turn into something that you didn't quite manage, and it's about how people take divergent paths through life and what that means and how it makes us feel. And I think like great song lyrics, they do that. They manage to tell you something over here which speaks to a million different things over here.
No, you're right. I don't really know how to add to that, but yeah, you're totally right.
But fucking doing it,
yes,
is a different matter.
Yeah, go on.
I think Johnny Marr always says, like, he puts all his songwriting to guitar. He said guitars have got songs in them.
Yeah.
So, like, you talking about things being otherworldly kind of backs that point. Noel Gallagher will always say, like, the best gigs he's ever played are the ones where he's been dicking about with a guitar in front of his telly.
Yeah.
And it's where he gets most of his songwriting ideas. He doesn't really try to do it, but he'll sit down with a guitar most of the time and get ideas from dicking about in front of the telly. And I think when those song lyrics come to you, you think, like, you describe the songwriting process to someone. I've got fully formed songs in my head. I sound like a fucking paranoid schizophrenic.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because you just hear
not
noises.
That you sound like a paranoid schizophrenic, but I agree with the songs.
Like, the analogy is like, well, I just heard it in my head. Well, how the fuck have you heard it? It came from nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, you explain it to you and you're questioning, like, what the fuck am I going on about?
Yeah.
It came from nowhere.
Yeah. There'll be some sort of neuroscientific theory. It'll be, you know, all of the music we've ever ingested in our lives is slowly brewing in our subconscious, and we've learned to associate certain patterns of notes with others, and then, you know, a little like these large language models do now, where our brain gets good at kind of hearing a phrase and filling in, like auto-filling in the next bit, and, you know, there's all of that. But then part of me also thinks that maybe there's something else going on, you know what I mean? Maybe, you know, Noel Gallagher, not to make this conversation too Gallagher heavy, because we've mentioned him a lot, and fucking God knows you know, he gets mentioned enough, but he said something like, and I heard Shane McGowan say it once as well, he said something like, the songs are already out there and you just have to find them. Because it does kind of feel a bit like that sometimes. It just, sometimes you write a tune and then you look at it and you think, like, where did that come from? Like, 1 minute it didn't exist and now it's that. And I don't really quite know how to explain it. I think writing from perspectives is something that can be cool also. Like, as a bit of practical stuff, like occasionally, if I'm really struggling to say what I think about something, I'll try and put myself in the shoes of somebody else. Really? And often you'll kind of, you know, moving your perspective on the world into a, you know, having it at a different angle can kind of unlock things that are actually more personal to you than you are, if you see what I mean.
I would find that really hard to write like that, like from another perspective. That's a different door for me.
I did it for God's no help, but it was remembered because there was a school I taught at in St Helens that took you around the area to get to understand where the kids came from. Yeah. So I put it into the perspective of moving into a new house and you're talking to the old man about what that town used to be like.
Yeah, cool.
Because, like, you will get stories out, like, you go to the pub and, like, oh, this pub's, like, nowhere near as good as it used to be. Yeah. So why not use that bit of knowledge that you've got to put it into that sort of perspective?
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I think perspective can be really cool. I mean, there's a reason like novelists write, you know, in the first person all the time, don't they? They inhabit characters because seeing the world through somebody else's eyes unlocks different ideas and thoughts and feelings
in a different way.
Yeah. But often that different way can also really capture things that you've always wanted to maybe say but haven't quite found the words for.
Absolutely. No, nothing to add other than I feel like in certain songs, even with your latest song recently, there's sometimes certain words that just pop out.
Yeah,
and they just
definitely
create this little image in your head, don't they?
Course.
Like with yours, I think the use of the word gold for some reason, it just gives you this little rush of something, doesn't it? Like it's hard.
But language
to
is a
explain.
map. Language is a map, isn't it? Like words are like that. That every word in the English language is freighted with associative meaning, right? And we don't think about words in isolation. Whenever we hear a word, particularly if it's kind of timed right, we bring to it all of our associations that word holds. Like, you know, words move through time, collecting meaning, don't they? The word gold is, you know, is just layered with connotations and ideas and themes and history, isn't it? So it makes sense that it would. Yeah. And, you know, song lyrics can be abstract, right? I mean, one of my issues with Oasis is that I always think maybe the lyrics are a little abstract to the point of meaninglessness. You know, slip inside the eye of your mind, you know, you might find a better place to play.
What does it mean?
I don't know.
But Noel's even said this. Noel's even said this. He'll go into...
But maybe it means something to someone.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what he said, like, in an interview. Like, again, we're referencing Gallagher. We might as well get the
I know.
out.
This could be like the Gallagher podcast now, couldn't it?
But, like, he said something along the lines of, like, who the fuck's Sally? What's she waiting for?
Right, yeah.
But he sees all these people going in South Korea singing this song back to him and said it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think he's right, isn't he? Well, I mean, history has proven him right. But yeah, I agree.
I think Tool, the band Tool, do something similar where they don't put the lyrics in any of their album covers because it doesn't matter if someone misinterprets it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, there will be a song that someone's told you what it's about and you're like, I thought that was about something completely
and
different.
It kills it, doesn't it?
Ruined it.
Yeah, it does kill it.
Ruined the
I
mystery.
completely agree. I don't think musicians should ever explain what their songs are about.
Unless it's so blatantly obvious. Like,
I think even then, if it's blatantly obvious, then people should figure it out for themselves. You know what I mean? I think you kill it by doing that because there is that imaginative space between, you know, the artist and the audience, and you don't want to get in the way of that because I think it ruins it.
Yeah, I think one of my favourite bands is Def Havana. And they've got this song called Epiphany at the end of one of their albums. And it just so perfectly describes someone just like having a perspective on life and just, no, I want to completely remove myself from this.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the end, it just goes really dark and you're like, what?
Right.
Like you weren't expecting that minute of music.
Sure.
And it's genius how even being so blunt about it, they've built up to that so well that you still got a shock at the end.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, music, surprise is so important in music, isn't it? It's that interplay. Again, it's the order and chaos thing. Great tunes, they're kind of, it's patterns, but then it's disrupting those patterns, isn't it? Because a song doesn't want to be predictable, but it doesn't want to be completely atonal and free form. I mean, maybe it does if you're into that sort of thing. But pop music, anyway, it walks that line between you think you know what's coming next, but there's going to be a subtle variation, or it's going to take you over here, and you're not going to see it coming. That's what great pop music does, I think, right?
Yeah. That just reminds me of that woman on X Factor once. You remember when she comes in and she's singing 40 different styles in one thing, and she thinks she's amazing, and it comes out just like, what?
Yeah. I'm glad the X Factor died a day.
Yeah, God, yeah. It just always makes me laugh, that one.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so Rob, I want to cut it at this point, I think.
Cool.
I just want to ask you sort of what's coming up for you. Obviously, you've got the album coming out. Have we got any gigs planned around I know you said you're having a tour.
The gigs will be announced. The tour will be announced. It's brewing at the moment. We're booking things at the moment. The album is due out in November. It's going to be on sale, vinyl, CD, and obviously it's going to be available to digitally stream wherever people go and digitally stream. It's called Stars, and you can find and follow the story on the album via social media. My Instagram is @RobJones and the Restless Dream. I have a website, a YouTube channel. You can find it very easily just by typing in Rob Jones and the Restless Dream. We've got a new single coming out. What day is it today? a week tomorrow, the next single is coming out. It's a tune called Tonight. I won't go into much about what it's about because that would be hypocritical of me, but it's a bit of an unrequited love story. So you can check that out next week. What else have I been up to? I guess that's pretty much it. You can catch me on the radio occasionally. I was Absolute Radio Country's spotlight artist last week, which was cool. Not that I necessarily think I write country music, but I'll take whatever I can get.
Of course.
So yeah, keep your eye out, I think, and hopefully, you'll hear the tunes and you'll like them.
I've noticed a few people releasing midweek. I think one of our friends of the podcast, Phil Island, released on, was it Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah, I'm trying it.
Is it just trying it? Is there no tactic
I've noticed it a few times that
because it's usually Friday, isn't it? Typically?
Yeah, but at my level, I'm not going to be put on any of those big New Music Friday playlists. But what I can have noticed is that release radars happen on Fridays. So if I can give the song a few days and run some heavy ads to it, so it's getting a lot of like real traffic in those first 3 days building up, the algorithm is then more likely to push it heavy on that first release radar, which then, gets it in people's playlists quicker.
Yeah, I mean, we did Monopoly and last one on a Wednesday and it kind of worked, but sometimes it's just reaching the ears at the right time.
Yeah.
If you promote it well enough, it's just going to do well anyway.
Sometimes you're at the mercy of the algorithm.
Yeah,
and you're not quite sure why. But listen, we're all at the mercy of millions of algorithms now in modern life, aren't we? Not just in music, but in everything. And it's only going to get worse.
Yeah. No, I always enjoy sitting down with you, Rob, because I think you just give us some fascinating insight.
Yeah, you too, mate. And you, mate. Lovely to meet you.
I'm enjoying.
I could do this for hours.
I don't think Lee expected this tonight.
No,
but,
it's right up my street. And after speaking to you, I want to hear your music. To be honest,
love it.
Yeah. So
we'll do it again. We'll do it again.
Absolutely. 100%. When the album comes out, come back on and we'll talk about it a little bit more.
Love to.
Thanks for coming on, Rob.
Thank you very much, guys. Cheers. Hey, I love the podcast, by the way.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah,
guys, go and listen to the Fine By's new single, Blue Tonic.
Okay.
Nice.
No, you should. You should, absolutely, yeah. And go and check out Rob's music, Lee's music, my music if you fancy it. And give us a subscribe on the YouTube as well. We would appreciate that. And we'll see you for the next one. Cheers.
See you soon.